There is a big storm raging over the Netherlands at the moment, so I'm glad I'm inside these days. My self-quarantine will be over in just a few days, praise the Lord. Well, because I'm inside these days, I was listening to some Reddit story yesterday. And this Reddit story, because we have those YouTube channels that do voice acting, so they narrate the stories in a theatrical way. And there was a story about a night whistler. Okay, it goes like this. I'm not going to tell the whole big story, but a quick summary. There is a colored family with a black father from the Caribbean. They move into an area. Okay, when they move to the area, people from the neighborhood council come and welcome the family into the neighborhood. But then they tell the family the following: listen, things in this neighborhood are quite peaceful, unnaturally peaceful. The reason it's so peaceful and joyful is because every night between 3:03 a.m. and 3:05 a.m. there's a whistle going through the neighborhood. Whatever you do, do not look outside to check who or what it is. Don't, because those that did watch to find out what it is, they either died or they remained alive and misfortune kept haunting them. Okay, so I'm not going to tell the end of the story because that will be giving spoilers. I'm not sure whether the story is a true story or just a horror story made up by someone who wanted to just practice creative writing. But whether the story is a true one or not, there's one thing about this story that reveals how society really is. Think about it. In this story, you have a neighborhood. You have strangers moving in, so they have to be integrated with the neighborhood. So the neighborhood council comes to welcome them. Well, that's what should happen. But then they inform him about the secret of the neighborhood success. And they tell him clearly, if you want to be part of this neighborhood, you need to understand the following. Things are as good as they are because of this entity that goes through the streets every 3:03 to 3:05 a.m. Don't look and check out who or what it is because it will turn out bad for you. Now, let's translate that to daily life. Society is a narcissistic construct in which grown folks look for an escape. So, grown folks escape together in this thing called society. But the grown folks pretend as if society is this mega structure of responsible human beings that you should be part of once growing up. That is the furthest from the truth. Society only functions because it kills a portion of its own. It's the ritual murder, blood sacrifice that keeps society going. That ease that worldlings crave after, that ease of being left alone and being at ease collectively, that's only the result of blood sacrifice. They transfer their waste energies and their toxicity, they transfer them onto victims, and then the victims as a result either die or the victims remain alive but in a pathetic, horrible state. And in this pathetic, horrible state, those victims are now the living sacrifices. They keep walking around dysfunctional and everyone can look down on them and feel bad about themselves. That's the monstrous reality of society. Now, most people don't see this. Why? Because they were brainwashed not to see it. However, in your life, there comes a point that you will realize something is off around here. Everyone will have that at some point. Where you have it quite early on, when you're approaching your teenage years, like at age 9 or 10, or you have it during your teenage years, or you have it in early adulthood, or some people have it when they're in their 30s, some people have it late, but everyone eventually senses that something is off. Now, there are people who are aware of what's off. And the people who are aware, that's the pagan priest class, they don't want you to figure out what it is that's wrong. Because that may disrupt the scapegoat mechanism that keeps everything at ease. And because worldlings rely on this ease that's produced by the scapegoat mechanism, when a worldling realizes that whatever is off may be the reason why they have ease, then they don't want to know what's off. Because once they know what's off, they're responsible for allowing it to happen, and now they need to do something about it. And this will disrupt their daily ease. So eventually, worldlings develop the attitude, I don't want to know. Leave me alone, I don't want to know. They want to remain in ignorance, because then they can't be held accountable for what goes on. And that's how a lot of people are. A lot of parents are like that. They don't want to know what's wrong. They just want to be left alone and be at ease. Because the moment they face what's wrong, they need to admit their contribution and do something about it. And they're not willing to do that. Because once they figure out what goes on, or once they're confronted with the truth and they don't do anything, that will backfire on them. They'll have to wake up every morning, look in the mirror and see a hypocrite and someone that's two-faced. They don't want that. They want to be seen as good, responsible human beings that deserve to be left alone. But they're not responsible and they're not honorable. But they want you to think that. So what I'm pointing out here is that the majority of the people out there, yes, I said the majority, they are aware something is off. They may not know what is off, but they know something is off. But because they don't want to look into it, because they just want to escape, they become collaborators. So the collaborators, together with the pagan priest class, now the collaborators may not even know who the pagan priest class is. And the collaborators may not even get along with the pagan priest class. But both the pagan priest class as well as the collaborators have one thing in common. They want to keep the secret a secret. So they will hint to children not to question things. And that's the number one ingredient of society. You don't question the restrictions. Those restrictions that we received while growing up were meant to hide the dirty, fallen state of our species. We were supposed to see our parents and everyone around them as honorable creatures that deserve our allegiance. We were not allowed to see that they were fallen creatures that need Christ, just like every one of us. So the world or society is a hoax. It's a hoax we participate in first because, A, we have no other choice because we're in the world. Secondly, a lot of us want to believe the hoax. We want the hoax to be true. Because we don't want to face alternative. Because alternative means dealing with the difficulties and the anxieties and the issues around us. And we don't want that. So, every society has this one rule. Don't question the restrictions. And especially don't develop a curiosity to figure out what goes on. That's why you have this phrase, mind your own business, or stay in your own lane, or only talk when you're spoken to. All those restrictions are to prevent you from seeing the obvious. And because you get punished, or you get mistreated, when you don't follow those restrictions, people just get along with them just to avoid being harmed. So you are blackmailed into accepting this thing called society. Now, at some point, you have to face yourself and those around you. Realize, hold on a minute, what goes on here? And the moment you face yourself and those around you, it's then that society around you will turn on you. Either they lynch you, so you go missing because they kidnap you and they kill you and dump your body somewhere, or they chop you in pieces or whatever they do, and the police is in on it, so the case will go cold. Either they do that, or they will make life hard on you by gang stalking you. And because they make life hard on you, you will lose your mind and you will break down mentally. And once you break down mentally, they can use this against you to get rid of you. Now, you can escape the situation. However, when you go to if you move to another place, the people in a new place are going to ask you, where do you come from? And they're going to contact people from your previous place. And more, less, or likely, those are all worldly people. So whatever happened in the old place will be transferred to a new place. So that story of that night whistler, whether it's fiction or not, does not matter. What matters is that that story reveals how society truly functions. The moment you see through the hoax, you are in trouble. And by the way, once you see through the hoax, you can't hide that anymore. You can't unsee what you see. If you see through the hoax, it will change how you look at other people. It will change how you behave. It will change how you feel. And people are going to notice that about you. Some people get depressed. Some people get very angry. Some people ghost whole community. Other people are faking it as if they're happy and people see through it. Anyway, once you see through the hoax, people will freak out very quickly you've seen through it. So, understand this. The moment you see through the hoax of society, because society is a hoax in itself, people around you, not just family and friends, also strangers, will be upset with you. It can be that you notice that something is off with the economy of your country. It can be that you notice that it's quite weird that there's so much unemployment, yet the new business is being opened all the time. And then one day, a few of your colleagues hand in a petition to your employer to get you fired. And then one day, your employer tells you you have to leave because the people at work can't get along with you. You never got an explanation. And later you hear from an ex-coworker who also left the place that people were upset with you because you kept mentioning things that were off. And it bothered them, just want to be left alone. That's how it goes. The moment you notice that something is off and you mention it because you realize this is something we need to address, people tend to explode on you because they just want to be at ease all the time. That is the narcissism of society. That's the narcissistic attitude of worldlings. So, the rule is don't look. Because if you look, you'll die or you'll remain haunted and hurt for life. That is the rule of society. Don't look. But here's the issue. Sometimes you have no choice because sometimes the ugliness of society is so into your face that without even looking, you see it. So, what am I recommending to you? The moment you see through a deception or you see through a hoax, don't go in the streets and run your mouth. Don't do that. Check whether people around you are even willing to face the reality of their community. If they're not, keep your mouth shut and move on. Well, that's it for now. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.